When the drums begin, this isn't just ceremony. It's a language measured in cadence, steel, and discipline. You're watching a tradition that predates satellites and stealth coatings the parade. For centuries, armies have marched to show unity, readiness, and control. But in the American style, the message is clear: people first, machines second. The human rhythm sets the tempo. The hardware simply amplifies it. The line steps forward on concrete flags, cutting through the wind, polished metal, catching the sun. In close-up, you see what history is made of: worn edges, tightened straps, the quiet click of gear being checked one last time. Not because it looks good on camera, because precision is a habit, and habits are what win long before the first shot is ever fired. Then the frame opens, and the parade expands beyond the square. Out on the open sea, that same discipline becomes motion. A modern destroyer doesn't just sail, it slices. The ocean breaks into white lines along its hull, and every antenna, every radar face, every squared hatch on deck is part of a larger idea: control the space around you before anyone else can. Up close, the ship's skin tells its own story: salt paint rivets and hard geometry. You see the grid of the Mark 41 vertical launch system, a neat pattern that looks almost ordinary until you remember what it represents. Standardized cells, modular by design, built for speed of response. It's not a single weapon, it's a platform for choices. And near it sits a different kind of truth: the Phalanx CIWS. No romance, no poetry, just the last line. A compact, relentless machine designed for the moment when everything else has failed. In military history, defenses often decide wars not through grandeur, but through refusal. The Phalanx is refusal in metal form. From that deck, the horizon becomes a runway. The sea launch. Tomahawk doesn't need spectacle to be understood. A narrow body, folded surfaces, a calm departure that hints at reach. In the modern era, range is persuasion. The ability to strike far away is one thing, the ability to do it precisely is another. That difference is where deterrence lives. But power at sea has always had a shadow. Beneath the surface, the world changes. Light dies quickly. Sound travels differently, and distance becomes deceptive. A submarine isn't meant to be seen. Its strength is in being felt. The Virginia class is built around that philosophy: quiet movement, controlled pressure, patience. In history, navies feared storms and cannons. Today, they fear what they can't track. And the torpedo Mark 48 remains one of the most enduring ideas in warfare. A blunt, decisive answer in a domain where you rarely get a second chance. Even here, surrounded by gauges and red-lit instruments, the human element holds steady. Hands move carefully. Eyes stay calm. In the tightest spaces on Earth, discipline is not a slogan. It's survival. Then, in a cut as clean as a drumbeat, we rise into wind and heat. On the flight deck, everything is louder, yet somehow more controlled. Colored jerseys and hand signals turn chaos into choreography. The deck crew doesn't need speeches. They speak in motion, and every motion has meaning. This is an American hallmark: industrial precision turned into ritual. The F-35B sits low and angular, more shape than ornament. Heat bends the air behind it. The deck trembles under the engine's weight, and for a moment you can feel the modern era pressing against the old one: steel decks, carrying machines that were science fiction within a single lifetime. When it lifts, it doesn't leap, it asserts. Quiet confidence engineered into a vertical moment, and then the sky widens. High above, the B-2 Spirit doesn't announce itself. It arrives like a shadow with purpose, minimal silhouette, maximum implication. In the story of air power, there has always been a race between detection and deception. From camouflage to radar to stealth, every era produces its own way of disappearing. The B-2 is the American chapter, written in geometry and restraint. If the parade is a sentence, the B-2 is the period at the end of it. But history also teaches that wars are not won in the sky alone. They are decided on the ground by weight, endurance, and the ability to hold. So we drop back into dust and vibration. On a range, the M1 Abrams moves like a moving fortress, its tracks carving deep lines into the earth. The engine's low thunder is not simply noise, it's presence. The Abrams represents an old idea, refined by decades. Protect the crew, deliver power, keep moving. Across military history, the most dangerous weapon isn't always the one that fires first. It's the one that can take a hit and still advance. Above it, the Apache turns air into a heartbeat. Rotor wash kicks up dirt. The fuselage cuts a sharp profile, sensors, scanning systems, humming. In this, you see a bridge between eras cavalry logic with modern eyes. The hellfire hanging beneath it is not about drama, it's about decision. Precision reduced to a single controlled release of force. The Patriot system stands with the quiet confidence of infrastructure. Radar sweeping launchers, aligned crews focused not chasing attention, but preventing catastrophe. Throughout history, armies have built walls, dug trenches, raised fortresses. Today's fortress is layered air defense. Its goal is the same as it has always been: deny the enemy the moment they're counting on. As the drums return, the parade comes full circle. Sea, air, land. Not separate stories, but one. A single rhythm expressed in different domains waves wind and dust. And behind every machine you've seen is the most consistent weapon in American military history training. Repetition, procedure, a culture of readiness that turns complexity into muscle memory. That's what makes this a parade of steel. Not the shine, not the spectacle, the standard. Because in the end, deterrence isn't just what a nation owns. It's what it can do on command on time together. Dawn doesn't arrive on an aircraft carrier the way it does on land. Out here, it creeps in through salt mist and engine hum, and the deck wakes up before the sun fully clears the horizon. Steel turns pale blue. Warning lines glow like quiet fire. And then movement, not chaos. Rhythm. On a flight deck, voices don't carry. The wind steals them. The jets drown them. So the Navy learned to speak with gestures clean sharp, unmistakable. One signal, one response, one step, one safe line. In a place where a single mistake can travel fast and end badly, the only thing that keeps everyone alive is a shared language and a shared tempo. That's what most people miss when they watch military footage. They see the jet and think the jet is the story. But the story is usually the people who make the jet possible. The hardware is powerful, sure, but it's only powerful when it's surrounded by a system that can handle power without flinching. A final hand signal snaps into place. The deck clears as if pulled by invisible strings. The engine note rises. Heat shimmers behind the aircraft like a mirage. And then, the launch violent, sudden, clean. For a heartbeat, the jet seems to be ripped off the deck by pure force. But the force is the easy part. What's hard is the discipline that makes that moment repeatable again and again, in rough seas, in darkness, in bad weather, when everyone's tired and the margin for error is still zero. From there, the world changes. The ocean wind fades into a dry, hot haze. Another kind of pressure, another kind of silence. On the flight line, the Air Force moves differently. Less sprinting, more checking. Less shouting, more signals and confirmation. Here, the ritual isn't about wrestling with the deck. It's about mastering complexity. A pilot zips. The flight suit tightens the straps, seats the helmet, seals the oxygen mask. These aren't just steps. They're transitions like closing a door behind you. The outside world gets smaller, and the mission world comes into focus. In the cockpit, light and data reflect off the visor. Screens glow. Alerts blink. The aircraft doesn't feel like a vehicle as much as a living network. Sensors, software, and decisions moving faster than instinct ever could. Then comes the moment that always looks unreal to people who haven't seen it up close. The F-35B hanging in the air, steady as if gravity took a break. Dust and debris spiral beneath it, a tight storm trapped in a circle. But the scene isn't magic. It's precision. It's a machine designed to obey physics in a very particular way, and a pilot trained to trust the system while still owning every second of it. Hovering is impressive. The discipline it takes to land like that calmly inside a tight space, while your world vibrates and roars, that's the real spectacle. And just when you think the story is all about speed and air, it drops hard to the ground. The first thing you feel with the army isn't the sight of the Abrams, it's the weight of it. The sound is lower, heavier, like the earth itself is complaining. The tracks bite into red dirt. Dust rolls out behind the tank in long, muscular sheets. Sunlight catches bolts and armor edges and turns the machine into something ancient and modern at the same time, part fortress, part predator. But again, the steel isn't the whole story. Inside, it's cramped and hot and loud in a way that's difficult to imagine if you haven't stood near it. Headsets, microphones, short confirmations, small gestures, a glance, a nod. A tank crew doesn't function like 4 separate people. It functions like one body divided into roles. Each person holds a piece of the same decision, and the machine only becomes smart when that crew moves in sync. The turret shifts, the barrel settles. For a second, the world tightens, as if everything holds its breath. Then the shot, a flash, a deep concussion that you don't just hear, you feel in your chest. Dust erupts. The target takes the impact, and the tank doesn't celebrate. It continues because the job isn't the dramatic moment. The job is doing the right thing after the dramatic moment when the adrenaline is gone, and the next move still has to be correct. That's the thread that ties it all together. Sea, sky, and land. Different uniforms, different environments, different machines. But one principle that runs underneath everything like a current: the United States doesn't simply field weapons. It builds standards around people, and then it trains those people until the standards hold under pressure. In the end, the loudest parts, the launch, the hover, the blast, are just punctuation. The sentence is written in quieter sounds, a buckle tightening a signal, given a headset crackling a steady breath behind a visor, a team moving as one. America doesn't lack weapons. America optimizes people. A C-17 cargo bay hangs open to cold air. Wind slips through steel ribs and cargo rollers, making straps tremble and metal whisper against metal. It's a giant machine at rest, quiet, heavy, patient right before it wakes. Then the base changes color. A red light flashes. A siren drifts down the corridor. A phone buzzes with one clean message: recall. Boots strike the floor in a sharp, controlled rhythm. Not panic procedure, not noise tempo. In American military history, many turning points begin like this, not with a shot, but with a signal. You see it in the way the force assembles. Gear comes off racks with practiced calm. Gloves pulled tight. Headsets checked. Straps cinched. Velcro tears and seals like a stamp. A pencil drags across a checklist, and boxes fill in ready. Readiness isn't a feeling. It's a system built to function under pressure on command in the dark. In a dim operations room, radios hiss with static, while a watch officer logs the moment. The Navy's oldest skill isn't firepower. It's continuity. Someone is always on watch. Someone is always listening. The rhythm never fully stops. Outside, under hangar lights, a crew chief moves along the grey skin of the aircraft. No drama, just the quiet discipline of maintenance culture, the kind that keeps history from repeating itself the hard way. American power has always depended on the unglamorous virtues: inspection standards, repetition. A forklift rolls forward, warning light pulsing. Pallets come in labeled, stacked, secured, because speed without order is just chaos wearing a uniform. At the ramp, the loadmaster's hand signals are sharp and simple. Stop, hold, forward, align. A pallet glides into place. One lock closing is more than metal meeting metal. It's a contract between gravity and procedure. Straps tightened point by point. Tension checked. Lines straightened. Everything becomes deliberate because in this world, probably fine is not a standard. It is verified or it does not move. The ramp begins to close, and the machine wakes all the way. Engines deepen. The C-17 rolls onto the taxiway as runway lights stretch into clean lines of intent. You feel the weight in the wheels, the vibration in the frame, the roar building until the air itself seems thicker. The aircraft doesn't rush it, accelerates with purpose. The same principle that shaped American global response for generations. Move mass fast across distance under pressure. The ground falls away. The runway becomes a strip of light. The sound shifts from roar to steady thunder. Inside the cargo bay, straps hum softly with the airframe. The loadmaster walks the aisle again, hand on each restraint, eyes on every latch, turning motion into controlled capability. A tanker holds station in the grey. A quiet reminder that deployment is not a sprint, it's a chain. Reach matters, but sustainment is what makes reach decisive. On a dark screen, a simple map draws the logic hub to forward to the next point, lines of light that don't break. That's the hidden architecture behind the headlines network's lift, and the ability to keep supplying tomorrow what launched today. Same principle: control the details, or the details control you. This is why the United States is so often ranked at the top, not because of one weapon or one platform, but because the system is built for rapid movement and sustained presence airlift that can surge, logistics that can endure, and a joint force that can hand off responsibility without losing tempo. Next time we step onto the deck where the night burns in red and green and the next chapter begins.